You might want to reconsider your position before everything you've tried to build starts coming apart. But what he didn't realize was that the person sitting across from him, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, was already recording every word. What started as a private warning turned into a national firestorm, and the balance of power shifted in an instant. The political arena had seen its fair share of showdowns, but what erupted behind closed doors between these two figures brought a chilling new chapter to American discourse. It was a moment that began in whispers, alleged threats, blackmail, intimidation, but grew into a storm of national intrigue, culminating in a secret recording and a desperate call to Donald Trump that sent shockwaves through every echelon of American power. The entire confrontation would serve as a revealing portrait not only of two sharply different personalities but also of the evolving ways influence and retribution are exercised in Washington. It started not with a press release or public statement but with a private encounter that never should have gone public. Barron Trump, long considered the quiet figure among the Trump children, had started appearing more in Republican circles. As political dynasties go, the Trump name remains ever present, and Barron, now of age to navigate the world of political influence, began stepping beyond the shadow of his father, but few anticipated how boldly he would move, or how dangerous his approach would be. The tension reportedly began after Crockett made a series of statements during a committee session sharply critical of the Trump family's business ties, particularly those she argued benefited unfairly from political connections. She called out what she described as intergenerational corruption disguised as legacy, and it was clear the Trump name was central to her claims. Those close to Barron say he was livid, not accustomed to being directly confronted by members of Congress. He saw Crockett's words as not only a challenge to his family but to himself personally. He allegedly made arrangements to confront Crockett, seeking her out after a session under the guise of a private discussion. What transpired, however, was anything but civil. According to Crockett's later account, Barron entered the conversation already armed with information, some of which she herself hadn't yet seen in public discourse. It was clear from the outset that Barron was not simply airing grievances but issuing a veiled threat. He referenced emails, communications, and conversations that suggested Crockett had private relationships and undisclosed activities that, if revealed, could jeopardize her reputation and possibly her political standing. Barron's tone, as later revealed in the leaked audio, was cold and composed. He spoke like someone reading from a rehearsed script, citing not just potential scandals but timelines and participants. His warning was not shouted, it was whispered with precision. You might want to reconsider your position before everything you've tried to build starts coming apart, he allegedly said. But what Barron didn't know was that Jasmine Crockett had hit record. As a seasoned legislator, she knew when a conversation had crossed into dangerous territory. She also knew that in this era, documentation was the only armor one could wear against unprovoked political warfare. The conversation went on for nearly 12 minutes, during which Barron, with unnerving poise, laid out what could only be described as a pressure campaign. He framed it not as blackmail but as advice, telling Crockett she should choose peace and reconsider her public remarks unless she wanted a media storm more aggressive than anything she'd ever faced. He mentioned family foundations, campaign donors, and out-of-context video clips he claimed could be reinterpreted. It was a masterclass in manipulation, but it would become his undoing. Crockett said very little during the exchange, offering short replies and allowing Barron to continue speaking, all while her phone was quietly capturing every second of it. For the next 48 hours, Crockett deliberated. The recording was explosive, but she also understood the implications of releasing it. Not only would it expose Barron Trump as an aggressive political actor, but it would open her up to counterattacks, legal challenges, and media scrutiny she may not have wanted. Instead of reacting rashly, she assembled her closest advisors, legal counsel, and a few trusted journalists to discuss her options. Some believed she should go public immediately, while others advised a strategic delay to allow Barron and his allies to make the next move. As the internal debates continued, Crockett made a brilliant chess move. During a House briefing, she gave a speech centered on political intimidation, referencing unnamed members of influential families who were stepping into the political arena not with conviction but with coercion. Her words were carefully chosen, avoiding direct accusations but signaling unmistakably to those in the know. The buzz grew quickly. Conservative media launched into speculation, while progressive outlets hinted that the Trump family may have overstepped its bounds yet again. Behind the scenes, Barron reportedly panicked. In an effort to control the narrative, Barron allegedly attempted to contact a media outlet using a pseudonym to leak negative claims about Crockett's past. The journalist he contacted, however, quickly suspected foul play. The phrasing, vocabulary, and timing were all suspicious. After digging into the digital trail, the outlet realized the source was directly connected to Barron's social media team. Rather than publishing the claims, they exposed the attempted manipulation to a few insiders, and the story turned. Now, not only was Barron facing potential exposure for threatening a sitting congresswoman, but also for trying to fabricate or distort evidence against her. This is when Crockett struck. With the help of her legal team, she released the full, unedited audio of the conversation. In it, Barron could be heard plainly laying out the pressure tactics he believed would scare Crockett into silence. There was no ambiguity. It wasn't speculative or edited. The clarity of his voice, the deliberate choice of words, and the casual confidence with which he delivered them made the clip go instantly viral. It was no longer a he said she said situation. Barron had, in his own voice, confirmed everything. Public reaction was immediate and fierce. While some diehard Trump supporters scrambled to defend him, even they struggled to spin the recording as anything other than inappropriate and aggressive. Political pundits from across the aisle condemned the actions, noting that regardless of age or last name, no one had the right to intimidate a public servant in the execution of their duties. Inside Mar-a-Lago, the fallout was seismic. Barron, now under intense media scrutiny, reportedly called his father in a moment of panic. The details of that call remained tightly guarded, but sources close to the Trump circle revealed that Donald Trump was furious but calculating. Instead of issuing an emotional response, Trump took a step back. He instructed aides to minimize public exposure, refused to make immediate statements, and focused on limiting the damage. Barron, meanwhile, went silent on social media. His usual digital engagement stopped, and appearances were abruptly cancelled. Within days, the recording became the centerpiece of a broader conversation in Congress about political intimidation and ethical boundaries for unelected individuals acting in influential capacities. Jasmine Crockett used her platform not to gloat but to call for structural changes, urging the creation of new rules limiting behind-the-scenes interference by family members of political figures. She argued that without these boundaries, American democracy remained vulnerable not only to elected partisanship but dynastic entitlement unchecked by law. Melania Trump, who had generally remained aloof from her son's political curiosity, reportedly intervened quietly, furious that her son had been thrust into a crisis that risked both his reputation and emotional well-being. Rumors swirled that she blamed Trump advisors for allowing Barron to be weaponized without protection, and sources suggested she demanded her husband insulate their son from future political plots. Meanwhile, the media narrative evolved. What had originally appeared to be a confrontation between a congressman and a politically engaged youth had become a national cautionary tale. The Atlantic ran a feature titled "The Pawn of a Dynasty," dissecting how political families sometimes push their youngest into roles they are neither prepared for nor capable of managing. The New York Times called Crockett's response a masterclass in restraint and strategy, while CNN aired panel after panel discussing the long-term implications for the Trump legacy. For Crockett, the ordeal cemented her role as more than just a progressive voice. She had now become a symbol of resistance against coercion. Her composure, her decision not to immediately weaponize the audio, and her focus on institutional integrity rather than personal vengeance won her admiration even from some political rivals. Barron Trump, meanwhile, faced a different road. Though still young and with time to rehabilitate his image, the shadow of this moment now lingers over any future political ambitions he might harbor. He had shown the country a glimpse of entitlement, arrogance, and recklessness that echoed the worst fears about dynastic politics. Whether it was his own decision or one heavily influenced by others, the consequence was clear: he had crossed a line. Jasmine Crockett's closing statement on the matter was as composed as it was cutting. Power is not inherited. Integrity is not passed down. They are earned every day, in how we speak, how we act, and how we face opposition. That sentence would be repeated in newsrooms, quoted in op-eds, and shared in social media reels as a defining lesson for those who assume they can rule simply because of who they are. If this story resonated with you and you believe in defending truth, accountability, and dignity in politics, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss the next revealing chapter in the political drama shaping America's future.